that late scare. A stroll by the banks of the Danube for City this evening. 2-0 winners over Borussia Mönchengladbach, never really having to get out of third gear. Back to Budapest, where Man City were playing Borussia Mönchengladbach. Was it a stroll, Brian, for City this evening?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't think they played brilliantly. I thought they were a little bit low-key. I thought it was almost too easy for them at times. And the manager's selection indicated he thought they were going to win handy enough, but the fact that he played Laporte ahead of Stones and Walker instead of Zinchenko and started Jesus also. But they justified his confidence until the last minute or two. Borussia didn't have a clear-cut shot in the match, didn't have a shot at all that Edison had to deal with. So that indicates their dominance. They defended reasonably well, Mönchengladbach, but City were totally dominant, and the midfield area totally on top, and scored a couple of good goals. Could have made it a more convincing win had they been absolutely ruthless. But the game, it lacked atmosphere without a crowd, and it lacked intensity. There was times I was looking at it saying it had the look of a pre-season friendly, which is hard to believe at this stage of the Champions League. But there just was a lack of intensity about the tempo and the challenges or the tackling. There wasn't a lot of tackling in the match. And even the press for Manchester City at times, I thought it was a bit easy-ozy, like, we might, you know, we'll see. We'll get there. Yeah. Even if they play through us, they won't score. The lads will snuff it out at the back. That's
Damien,
how I felt.
Your point of view?
Boringly efficient, and I mean that in the nicest, most respectful possible way. I just think they were just on their game tonight. I take on board what Brian says, but it's the first leg of a European tie. They're definitely the strongest team. They don't want to go mad and mad pressing. They just stayed in complete control, and they knew that they had them where they wanted them, and they were going to get the goals. They just didn't want to do anything crazy like what Rodri did in the last seconds of the game. I mean, you could turn a perfectly in control night on its head by giving them a goal and something to cling on to go back to the Etihad possibly. So, I mean, almost perfect except for that Rodri mistake. That was
Mönchengladbach's only shot on target, and it came deep into the game. Boringly efficient. If that's your compliments, I'd hate to hear your insults, Damien. And in the other game of the night, Atalanta down to 10 men, beaten by Real Madrid. Zidane smiling there. A good result for his team. Let's get back to City there. So, the point that you were both making was that that they're through, well, they're not through yet, but they're almost through at a canter. Is that fair? And has that been in keeping with what we've seen from City in recent weeks, that they haven't needed to raise out of third gear?
Yeah, and even in the group stages as well. I mean, Porto got a 0-0 draw where they played almost everyone behind the ball and hung on for a 0-0. But other than that, they strode through the other games, 5 victories. Apart from the concession of the goal against Porto in the first game when they finished 3-1, Diaz's goal, they haven't conceded a goal since then, and they didn't look like conceding one tonight either. So it's continued on as the Champions League form was, and into their league form and the cups and so on. They're no doubt about it, and they've got a substantial squad of players. I wouldn't say it doesn't matter who plays, but you look at the team tonight, and it wasn't any weaker by the fact that he left out, I would say, a couple of key players. It was still a doddle for them.
And almost a full squad. I think Nathan Ake is the only player now on the injury list. It is looking very positive for them, Damien.
It is, and I was reading up today on them, and there was a stat of, in their last 17 league games, they've never been behind. And that just tells you something about their mentality. You know, they're just on this run now, and it's not like they're giving up goals early and having to chase games and show character. They're just ruthlessly efficient in what they're doing.
We'll look at it in a bit more detail later on, but in general, though, were there any concerns? Because you said maybe down the line, a Bayern Munich, for example, might find, you know, space in behind that City defence where the likes of Mönchengladbach wouldn't. Well,
Mönchengladbach kind of huffed and puffed at almost getting those types of spaces. I'm thinking about, you know, on the turnover, I think City are really vulnerable when they lose the ball. You know, they have an odd shape and there are spaces. The centre-backs kind of are playing as a 2, maybe a third one. And there's a couple of balls got slid down the side, you know. wasn't quite there. We were talking about it off air. Jesus, that ball was a bit better, and all of a sudden...
And Rodri gets isolated as well in the midfield area. If he advances to be part of the press, there can be a big gap, and we'll have a look at that later
teams
on.
like Bayern Munich, who have a Kingsley Coman or a Sane, I mean, they'll pick you off straight away.
PSG, another team, Tommy, that on the counter could exploit that type of space and would punish them. But look, we're trying to pick small holes in a team that have been excellent, and maybe just because of their previous history where they lost the teams you expect them to be, like Monaco and Lyon and Spurs. Because of that, you're kind of saying...
Where might it happen this season?
Where might it happen, given that they've moved on. Tactically, they've moved on again, and personnel has changed as well, and they look the better of it.
Yeah, and one of the areas they've moved on, or certainly one of the tactical innovations, has been the role of Cancelo. And we'll let you lead off on this, Damien, because you wanted to talk about it before the game and the overall effect it had on City. So let's have a look at the first goal and his role in that.
Yeah, you know, I spoke about it before the game and a half time, and I'm fascinated by the role he's been asked to play. I mean, the football intelligence required for this is indescribable, really, you know. As opposed to being, you think of Mendy here would be busting the gut to get up on the left-hand side to offer an outlet if it gets clogged up, but he does, and he takes up this role as a number 6. And when that happens and the ball pops out, he comes onto it and he's able to sustain attacks, and he puts a ball in here. And you know, I said at half-time it was undefendable. I still think it is. I know people will say, why can't the defender jump? But the defender's backpedaling, and it's nigh on impossible to jump when you're backpedaling like that. And the ball just skims over his head. You can see him, he's thinking, can I get off the ground? And he just can't. And the fact that Silva didn't even have to break stride, it was right in his path, right in his forehead, and he just had to put it in. And for me, Cancelo was the player of the match. I thought. When
you say the intelligence to do what he does, what do you mean? Because
he's been asked to play 2 positions. You know, when they're in possession, he's been asked to come in as a number 6 and
number 6 being
a defensive midfield player alongside Rodri, and pin attacks in. But when the ball turns over, then he's asked to revert back to an orthodox left-back position. So he gets to choose. I'd love to know what the triggers are when to come in as a number 6, because he always seems to be left-back when he's supposed to be left-back, and he also seems to be number 6 when he's number 6. That intimates to me that he's a great reading of the game, a fabulous understanding of where he's supposed to be and when he's supposed to be there, and the trust a manager must have in him. And the football intelligence required for that is brilliant, because you'd think he'd get it wrong, because it is quite dicey. Sometimes when the ball turns over, they try to slide one down his channel, and we see here in one of the clips, he actually is where he's supposed to be. You're thinking, why wasn't he number 6 there? What did he see, or what did he feel to say that he should go back and play left back? So it's great.
Intelligence of the player or the coaching of the manager?
Both. I mean, the manager's asking him to do a role. I mean, he wouldn't ask a lot of players to do that, but the player would have to have great instincts, I think, and there will be triggers as well of when to be the defensive midfield player and when to be the left back. It's fascinating. It's one of the things I'd love to listen in on or understand, and maybe in years it will come out what he tells Cancelo, because it's fabulous coaching and understanding from the player.
Tried to do it with Zabaleta and Kolarov a bit when he came first, Pep, didn't he? Like, it's sort of an idea he's had.
Yeah, but it's a bit, and Zabaleta got seriously exposed. He wasn't able to get quacking up from behind it, but he's been using it. He's been doing it with Walker last year, because Cancelo was tried in the position and he didn't make it in the team. He played about half the matches last year, Cancelo, although they paid a lot of money for him to Juventus, and he tried him in there, and he used to use Mendy as well in a similar role, but more Zinchenko. And I always thought Zinchenko adapted very well to that position, to left back position, and going inside. He was actually the first one I saw him doing that with. He was sending Zinchenko in there, and I was going, why is he doing that? Why is he letting him go? But it was obviously to get the overload in the middle of the field and to dominate that area and take your chances. But then he had the problem with the centre-halves not being good enough on the recovery. Now he's dealt with that by Diaz has changed it, and Stones has found his form as well.
How important, as we look at the second goal then, Brian, Damien made the point that, you know, there's 2 headers by 5'8" Bernardo Silva in these, about the quality that he's putting on the deliveries in.
How important is what, Tommy?
The quality of Cancelo's.
Yeah, well, it has to be. It's very important, because it's the smallest front line in world football, I'd say. Jesus, Bernardo Silva, and Sterling or Foden. Foden is the most advanced player, and yeah, the crosses always seem to be right on their heads, that they don't have to jump. So that's what shows you, that's the precision. He's explaining what it's like centre-half backing off. I would have been the coach saying, jump and head it, Elvedi, and he missed it. But Damien is explaining how awkward it was for him when he was running backwards, or as for a centre-half, and he couldn't get to it. That's because the timing of it, the accuracy of it, and the position of Bernardo Silva, that he's not in close, he's off the centre-half a few yards, enough to make it too difficult and to create the space that Cancelo can deliver that ball in. So it's that good, that quality.
Just to note, by the way, that Dave mentioned in commentary, Jesus 77 goals for Manchester City and Niall Quinn 77 goals. The official Man City website says 78 goals for Niall, so there must have been a dodgy deflection in there that they're giving him. So we'll follow that one up.
Have a look at that. Oh, there was no VAR in Niall's
So we'll follow up on that one. Very important detail. So Cancelo's night in all then, just to sum up, and you put a piece together in the role he had. You thought he had a great game, even aside from the involvement in the two.
Yeah, very, very good. I mean, this is him just, overlapping as a normal left back. But then these are the roles that he was picking up in the middle of the pitch. Now, if you can see here, they are hugely exposed on the left side. But then the one time that he's supposed to be left back, he is. And that's what I talk about, is his understanding of where he's supposed to be and when he's supposed to be there. Now I know that he has a player in a left back position there, but a little nutmeg there and a drive on. And I wonder sometimes if they turn the ball over, that's why I would be slightly concerned that he's not in position.
Yeah.
I know that other people fill in for him and stuff like that, but to ask a player to play two positions is brilliant. Now, we're going to see here is his range of passing. It's absolutely fantastic. The amount of times that he puts the ball on the money where it's supposed to be. I mean, these are really difficult balls to defend, because what you find is the left side centre back there gets kind of trapped round, gets on the wrong side, and back fours get mixed up. And then these are obviously the balls for the goals, and they're fantastic.
Whenever park football starts again, all the managers will be asking their fullbacks to go into midfield, and the word's going to go crazy. Do you want to squeeze this in while we have the time, because it is important for a bit of balance, Brian, that there wasn't enough chances or opportunities for chances from a Mönchengladbach point of view that maybe a better team might have punished City.
Look
is that
at the
fair
big
enough?
space in the middle of the field, an opportunity to play a ball into player there over here. Again, look, big space. Rodri gets dragged into the press on the left-hand side. Opportunity to break forward. Big space behind behind Walker's position. Now, in fairness, City often rescue this, and it looks like it's do or die, but it's actually very good defending and good judgment. But you see, these areas where there's no real protection for the back three as such, but the goalkeeper comes out, reads it very well and tidies it up. Again, big space behind where Cancelo, if he was playing as a normal left back, might be. Not a very good attempted pass across the goal from Hoffman on the right hand side. Here they counter-attacked. There was big space on the right-hand side. Stindl should have got the ball out there quick enough before Cancelo got over, but they didn't. And City shuffle across very well and just close up the space. Appears to be a space, and then they see the danger. They're athletic enough. Not here. Zakaria runs away, knocks the centre half out of the way, Laporte, and wins the ball. Here again, just a loose pass, an opportunity. This is the one save Ederson had to make in the match. Big casual late in the game.
Yeah, it's just enough of a sniff of a worry there going forward for City.
A little bit of hope for someone that they might get a goal, that's what I'd say.